Supposed Gloves here, and this is another video in the FL12 effects series. And today, whoops, let's switch over. We're going to be talking about the Fruity Love filter. So I've been digging around and kind of seeing other tutorials, seeing how it's done, and I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I just get in the habit of explaining what parameters do, as opposed to sort of giving a bit more useful information concerning them, designing sounds, things like that. So this is going to be a part series. I'm not going to cover all the parameters in one video. That way you can look up what you want and find it fast. And the other reason is so you have some more useful ways, because this is one of these, this plugin in particular is one that is, I don't think very many people use, simply because it's not that intuitive, but it is very powerful. So there's sort of a trade-off here. So that's my plan anyways. So to demonstrate, this part one is going to be on routing. So you have to get an idea of how routing works in this thing. Once you have that, the rest sort of works out. I do recommend checking out my basic filters video on my YouTube channel. Just go and look it up. Just type in like basic filters, and because I'm not going to cover it here, they have all these different types of filters. So this first one is just routing. And so the thing you need to understand about the Fruity Love filter is that there are 8 banks. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so it's really great. In each one of them, you can route them in parallel or you can route them in serial. And so if you don't know what routing is and you've never had to deal with this before, this is going to be a new concept for you. So the way this works is you open up a channel on your mixer. I put it on the master. You probably will not put it on the master. But you go over there, you put it on there, and now any audio that goes through your channel is going to go into your effect. And it's going to go into here. And once it reaches the Fruity Love filter, a bunch of interesting things happen. The first thing is we have an input and an output on every individual bank. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each one has its own input and output. And we've got these different options on each input and output. We have next, pan, volume, volume. So what you need to understand is when the audio comes into your channel and goes into the filter, it can go into each one individually. So it can go into just 2, or 2 can receive a separate input from 1. And they get summed. It's called this. They use a summing app. I'm not sure what the term is digitally, a digital summing app. And they get combined at the end, and that's the signal that's get output. So you may be this is one of the things that really turned me off from this type of a filter, because each one's receiving its own signal, was that, oh, well, it's not working, because when I turn my filter to filter out sound, I still have a whole bunch of other sound, and I couldn't figure out where that other sound was coming from. Well, that was the source of my problem. I didn't understand the routing that's going on. So let's talk about this input. I have this completely original melody made up here from Harmer. So to demonstrate this, because I have this weird thing with my MIDI controller that when I hit keys, watch the pattern. Or there it goes, part 5, 3, 2, 1. And I would need to mess around with my MIDI controller quite a bit to fix that. So I've just created a little melody. It's going to be playing in the background. Probably turn it down some. And this is it. It is so great. Tetris. So on our input right now, it is coming into the Fruity Love filter. You can hear it working. It's already on, and it's using this SVF. If I turn it off real fast, that's what it's supposed to sound like. So let's talk about the input. So we've got this on. This turns the input on. If it turns this entire bank on. If your bank isn't on, then you're not going to get any sound. So we have all 8 of these. Then you have solo. So you can solo just one unit. We're going to come back to that. And then you have this volume. This volume is the amount of volume that is coming into bank 1 from the mixer track. Okay. It can go 2 ways. This is a pretty cool feature. You can go backwards, and you'll get a negative percentage. This is phase. So you can phase invert it. Now, what's interesting is if you look over here at the hint bar, this is 100% phase inverted, but you can go to 125. So I'm not sure if it uninverts your phase invert if you turn it all the way on, but that's something that you need to be aware of when you're using this. So that's a pretty cool option we have right there. And this is the volume that's coming in. So if we were to go over to like bank 2 and turn that on, now it's got the exact same filter, so we won't hear a difference. but this is the amount of volume now that is coming into just bank 2. This is just bank 1. And we could do that for 3. Just turn it on and bang, we've got it going. You'll notice all the knobs light up too to show you if it's on or off. So that's pretty important. I think I can actually blow this up. Nope, I can't. I was under the impression that I could. So now let's move over here to the out module. So this is another very important module. You have this first knob. This is next. And so what next does is next sends it to the next bank over. So from bank 1 to bank 2. And it can also do phase inversion. So right now we're sending, see that here we have this 125%. I'm not sure if that's something I need to be concerned about or not. It's never really affected my workflow, but I'm sure if phase is important to you, which when you're doing filtering, it very well could be, that might be a thing. So this is sending it over to the next filter, filter 2. If we turn it the other way, it's the phase inverted version of that signal. That's just a rule. So I probably might say it still, but just so you know, if you could turn a knob both ways, it's generally what it is. We have panning. So this is pan to the left, pan to the right. And so you can send it out a stereo signal. That's pretty cool. And now you have this volume. This is the other. So we've got these 2 volume knobs. This is like the source of, like, you need to understand this. So this is the amount from this module that is coming out. So this is what passes through to the summing amp. And then we hear it out our speakers. As long as you haven't routed your signal anywhere else, it'll get sent out to your master bus and then comes out. So this is what comes out of the plugin, and this is out of this one bank. So you can see 2 has this option as well. So given this knowledge, I'm going to go ahead and change the filters. We're going to talk about this later so that they're noticeably different. I'm going to turn the cutoff way up on filter 2. I'm going to turn it off. So right now, we have 1 input coming into 1, and we're going to turn it up. And so this is what we have, and that's fine. But if we turn the out, nothing will come out. As you can see, it's playing and nothing is coming out. You turn it on, things are coming out. Now we could take the input volume and turn that off. You also know that you cannot phase invert your output volume for, I think, pretty straightforward reasons. It'd be an interesting option if you had like more things down the chain that you wanted to send phase inverted signal to. But as you can see, no input is coming in now. So now that we have that distinction, let's move over. So let's send our stuff. So I've already been sending it, but the chain is off. So let's send it now to filter. So this is what's called routing in parallel. No, we're going to do serial first. So this is serial. So it has to go. So the way serial works is it has to go through bank 1 into bank 2 and so on and so forth. It has to go all the way through something before it can go through another thing. So here we have, now we're going to turn the input volume on, but we're going to turn the output volume off, and we're going to route it into filter 2. Filter 2 has been set to a low pass filter, so it should be quite noticeable. And I'm going to turn it on to a heavy low pass filter. Don't worry about that move quite yet. I'm going to turn high EQ, high quality envelopes on, high EQ, and we're going to turn it on. So now, one other thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the input volume off. So what did I just do? Well, because you might be confused on like, why'd you just turn the input volume off? Like, how's this going to get sound now? Well, filter 1 is getting the sound. It's going to go through filter 1, get sent to filter 2. It's not going to be outputted. And filter 2 is going to receive that sound. It's not going to receive sound from the master bus. And then it's going to go out to the main. Then it's going to be sent out of our plugin to whatever else we have our plugin hooked up to, which right now is our speakers. So if I go ahead and play it, we can hear it. Now, if I turn volume 2 off, now there's nothing, even though our input volume's off. So I hope you understood that. Now we're going to set up a parallel processing thing. So we're going to send filter 1 out. I'm going to turn off filter 2, and I'm just going to make some sort of a difference. Don't worry about this stuff quite yet. But let's go ahead and do something like this. So right now, it sounds like this. I'm going to do. So that's what filter 1 is doing. And actually, let's do something like this so that it sounds a bit more noticeable. So the filter turns on and off, and we'll talk about this later. And we're going to turn filter 2 on. We need to change a few things about filter 1. We're going to turn the next off. Now you can do serial and parallel at the same time, but I'm going to just leave that out of the equation for now. So it's coming in and it's going directly out of filter 1 independently. We're going to turn 2 on. 2 is going to receive volume and 2 is going to output volume. So 2 is going to work as a completely separate filter, not even dealing with the same thing. And we're going to turn off filter 1. And so this is what filter 2 sounds like right now. And we're going to link its cutoff to an envelope. And so that's what filter 2 does. So a very different shape. So that's filter 2. This is filter 1. And now we're going to turn them both on. Now, each one's receiving its own copy of the signal. And so we'll hear a mix between the two. You hear how that first dip happens? That's this guy. And then this is the second dip. And so that's really important. Hopefully you get it now. So you can turn on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and do this. Or you could turn off the output volume, send it to the next, turn this on. So we're going to set up a big parallel chain now. I mean a big serial chain. So we're going to send this to the next. It's not going to put out any volume. It's going to take in volume. So this doesn't need to take in volume. This doesn't need volume because we're going to put it out to the next. We're going to take 3. We're going to turn it on to a just a bandpass. That sounds fine. And I'm going to make another pattern for this. This is what our bandpass is going to do. We may have no sound at the end of this because of so much filtering, but we'll make it a light filter. So these other ones have a lot of volume reduction, and we'll talk about that. So we're going to keep the input off, and we're just going to stop at 3. I'm not going to make it that big. We're going to turn this off. And so now we have this. And you see this is the bandpass. So let's change this to like something more general, like low pass. And we could do this instead. And so it's coming through filter 1, to filter 2, to filter 3. Then if we wanted, let's say, oh, well, geez, this is great. I love that right there. Let's just say like that's the thing. I'll turn it up. Because now we have all this filtering going on. Now let's say I want to go over to filter 7. I'm going to turn filter 7 on. And I'm going to have it receive its own volume and its own out. And it's going to put output on its own. So these 3 are working in serial. So this goes into filter 1, filter 2, and filter 3. But filter 7 is its own dude over here. It gets its own jazz. It has its own input and its own output. And we're going to make it a peaking filter. And we're going to not have the gain up that much. We're going to turn the cutoff. Oh, this is interesting. We're going to turn the resonance up. And now we have this. Now if we turn 7 off. So that is the difference. So hopefully this is like made it painstakingly clear. Like I know I've been saying things over and over again, but I kid you not, like you think there were several times that I thought I got it and then I went back and like just messed the crap up of what I was doing. Now, this next knob, if we turn this to the left, let's turn filter 7 off. So this is panning is happening on 1, but it happens after what looks like the next knob. So the question is that really where the panning is in our processing chain? Because that's an important dealio right there. Does panning happen after or before we send it to the next filter? Well, let's play it. And you see that this is not affecting our sound whatsoever. And so 2 is being sent out next and nothing's coming out. So this is pretty intuitive, but 3 moves it. And so that's an important note to know that if you're going to do panning, you have to do it on the filter that is outputting your volume. These things happen, the routing happens before you send it out, because you could do separate parallel processing. We could create a stereo signal by sending 2 out and sending that to the left and then sending the rest of it out to the right. And now you've just gotten like, hopefully that opens up some doors right there too. You could send out some really weird filtered signal. You could have like one LFO going at one speed in your left ear and another LFO on the same sound going at a different speed in your other ear. Like this is weird stuff. And you could probably, if you made it line up, it'd probably be a pretty cool effect. If you're wearing headphones and it was a main effect, it might drive you nuts. But as a subtle thing, it could be pretty powerful. So hopefully that explains routing for you. We're going to talk about filters. Again, I recommend checking out the filter series. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. Any requests, drop those in the comments. And have a blessed day.